You know, there's a saying among the counselors that there's healing in this valley. That no matter who you are or where you're coming from, you will, whether you like it or not, encounter the presence of God. These are lofty claims, but ask any one of the visitors, counselors, campers, or retreaters who's walked these grounds for more than a day or week, and they'll tell you that every word of that saying is true. Of course, for most of them, you won't have to ask. The truth is painted on their faces. Smiles, tears, laughter, wonder, delight, you can see it all so plainly. At least, that was my experience when I stepped down into the Valley of Deer Run. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not the only one. Every year, thousands upon thousands of men, women, and children come to the grounds of Deer Run for, well, you name it. Camps and getaways, church outings, and seriously, Deer Run is buzzing with activity almost all the time. But what is it that drives folks to come? What on earth convinces a college student to give an entire summer looking after kids? I mean, yeah, they've got all 7 levels of accolades and amenities, but none of those things can possibly be it. Well, I can tell you what it is. I actually literally got to call the camp home for nearly 2 years. And believe me, I've gotten to taste and see exactly what it is that makes Deer Run tick. And it's that something that everyone seems to want to be a part of. When I first arrived at Deer Run, I was just a counselor. Low level and awestruck, I remember wandering around the property with my eyes wide open. I was dorky, young, and completely clueless as to what God was going to do. Maybe you experienced the same thing when you first stepped down into the valley. It's almost like there's this sense of hushed awe that lays over the grounds. Like I couldn't stop myself from going, whoa. I used to talk with Trig, my roommate, about why this was. He agreed that it was for 2 reasons, at least. First, we noticed that the hills and valleys are inherently beautiful. By that, of course, we meant that no matter what season, what day, or what time you look at the place, it's always beautiful. The second, more important reason is that the whole place is drenched in the Holy Spirit. Honestly, these 100+ acres have been covered in so much prayer, it shouldn't surprise us that God moves so tangibly. And Deer Run is actively working to create an environment where people can encounter God like never before. For example, not only do campers do things they normally wouldn't do, such as shoot arrows at other people, or climb high walls, or, well, this, but the kids are able to do all this in an atmosphere where it's safe to ask questions and be vulnerable. They also have Bible studies, worship, and speakers every day. And they do all these things together. After all, God is just as present during a precious worship service as he is when you're about to free fall into a 100-foot swinging arc in the sky. And this is true for both day and overnight campers. No matter where a kid is at camp, there are reminders of the gospel everywhere. And year after year, God honors the excellent work and sacrifice of so many by moving powerfully and visibly. But campers aren't the only ones who get to experience this astounding, life-changing atmosphere of camp. It also has incredible effects back home. There are countless stories of how parents have been amazed to find out that their kids' new favorite activity is reading the Bible, or about how they're now being a light for Christ at their school. And even then, there's a whole other group of people that gets to be steeped in this place, and the effects are evident. Being a counselor at Deer Run is tough, in absolutely every way possible. Physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But it's in those overwhelming moments that God uses the unexpected to restore us back to life. Jokes, tears, notes, friendship bracelets, worship, and literally a host of other things to startle us by who he has made us into and what he's done in us by the end of it all. I'm here to ask you to give to Deer Run. We all know that more money doesn't mean God is able to do more. God is able to do whatever he wants to. However, Deer Run is a place of excellence, sacrifice, generosity, and obedience. From what I've seen and experienced, God has honored this service with his holy presence and by moving both mightily and consistently. Even now, I get chills when I think about how he has met so many thousands of people between the dust and trees of those hills. It's all happened due to Christ laying on the hearts of faithful men and women to sacrifice of their time and money for his glory. So many have already come alongside and supported the work that's happening at Deer Run. I pray you'll do the same. The Valley's arms are open wide, and the story of Deer Run has only just begun. The next chapter starts with you.